Uh, a very thanks to the agricultureinformation.com. Now coming to the topic, today's topic is a cultivation and a post-harvest handling of a proso millet. Talking about a very introduction to the proso millet. A proso millet, its botanical name is a Panica millesium, is a common and an important short duration minor millet which is widely grown in India. It is commonly known as a ragi, finger millet, broom corn millet, pani varagu, hog millet, and a French white. It can be cultivated in a hot summers and a high altitudes as it is a kharif season crop where the growing season is short and the soil is marginal and poor in fertility. It is actually a soil reclamation crop. Now coming about to the another point, among the grain crops, the common millet has the lowest water requirement and it grows on any kind of a soil except the coarse sand. It is well adapted to the plateaus land at high elevations and is cultivated in a Himalayan region too. The crop is ready for harvest in 70 to 18 days. That is a pre-maturing harvesting is done in this 70 to 80 days only. And starch is the main carbohydrate in the grain of these millets and is similar to the corn starch present in a maize. Green plants of these millets are excellent foders and are also used as a hay for the animals and livestock. In some parts of India, immature crop is used as a green fodder. Now coming about the second slide, that is a cultivation of a proso millet. Its scientific name, as I have already told, it's Panicum millesium. Chromosome number is 36. Origin of a proso millet is originated from kingdom is plantae, order Poaceae, is Panicum, and species is Panicum millesium. Now, the botanical description how the plant of millets, proso millets, looks in its physiological and external behavior. So, talking about the botanical description, this plant are an erect and herbaceous annual plants which tillers profusely. That is, they tillers expeditiously. Its plants grows up to a height of 45 to 100 centimeter, and the stems of these proso millets are cylinder with distinctly swollen nodes. They have a swollen nodes in their stems. The roots are fibrous and shallow. The leaves of these millets are linear, cylinder, and leaf sheath encloses the entire internode. Inflorescence of these millets is a much branched panicle without bristles, having spikelets at the tips of the branches. Usually, the last or the fourth glume encloses a perfect flower which sets a grain. Actually, in millets, that is the fourth or the last glume that sets a grain for a economical part. The glume and the palia are firmly attached to a grain. The seeds may be creamy white, yellow, red, or black in color. Now, the climatic requirements of these proso millets, that is, I have already told that these are the warm climatic crops grown in an Kharif season, so they extensively grown in a warm region of the world. It is highly drought resistant and can be grown in areas where there is a scanty of the rainfall. It can withstand water stagnation also to some extent. It is a hardly crop which completes its life cycle in a short span of a time, that is minimum of 70 to 80 days in its whole maturity from the germination that it takes. Talking about the soil of a proso millet can be grown both in a rich and a poor soils, having variable texture ranging between sandy loam soils to the black cotton soils. Coarse sandy soils are not suited for proso millet cultivations. Well-drained loam or a sandy loam soils free from conker and rise in organic matter are ideal for the proso millets cultivation. Now the land selection, as proso millets are cultivated in both rich and poor soils, thus the land should be cultivated with the same crop in a previous season, and the selected land should be free from the volunteer plants. That is, no debris, no residues of the previous plant which were cultivated before the germination or before the start of the germination of a proso millet should be left in the field. Talking about the field preparation, which is our next topic, soon after harvesting of the previous crop, the field should be plowed to expose the soil to the sun and enable it to retain more moisture. With the onset of the monsoon, the land should be harrowed 2 to 3 times and then finally labeled. When it is being done during summer, one irrigation should be given in summers, and as soon as the soils come in a working condition, the seed bed should be prepared by running harrow or a deshi plow thrice, followed by planking or labeling exercises. A proso millet needs a firm and a clean seedbed, but does not respond to the deep ploughing. That is, the summer tillage operations, deep ploughing, and extensive tillage operations are not done in proso millets. That is what are the field standards which we have to take acknowledge when during cultivation of a proso millets are a proso millet are a self-pollinated crop and should be raised in isolation. That is a proper isolation distance during their germination, during their seed production should be maintained, and that isolation distance maintained between the varieties is 3 meter for both the foundation and certified seed production. That is, in the production of a foundation and the certified seed production methods, we have to keep a isolation distance of 3 meter for both this production of seeds. Now, the seed selection and sowing. Seeds used for the seed production should be of a good quality as recommended. Certified seeds from an authentic sources should be used. Seed should be healthy, and the recommended seed rate is 4 kg per acre, or you can say that it is a 10 kg per hectare in a field for sowing of this proso millets. Selected seeds should be treated with azospirillum to inhibit the seed sources of diseases and attacks. Treated seeds should be sown with a spacing of 30 to 10 centimeter. That is, row to row distance should be 30, and from plant to plant distance should be 10 centimeter. The seeds of the proso millets or the cultivation of a proso millets is done in the month of June, July. That is at the onset of the monsoon rains. Summer crops of the proso millets can be sown in the month of February, March, and the seeds are broadcasted manually or by a seed driller in a furrows at the depth of 3 to 4 centimeter. That is, these crops are shallow depth crops. Now, talking about this seed and sowing, the importance of a healthy and disease-free seed hardly compounds like agrosane or a kerosene at the rate of 2.5 gram per kg of the seed before sowing should be recommended. The time of a sowing, as it is a proso millets are a kharif crop, proso millets should be sown in the first fortnight of July. With the onset of the monsoon rains and as a summer crop, it should be sown by the middle of April. During summer, it would be desirable to sow proso millet as soon as the harvesting of this rabi crop is over. Now, the seed rate and the method of sowing. Proso millet can be sown by broadcasting or a drilling seeds in furrows 3 to 4 centimeter deep. Row to row distance should be kept 25 centimeter and plant to plant should be 10 centimeter. Line sowing of a proso millet can also be done that ensures better germination, cut down seed requirement, and facilitates intercultural operations compared to the broadcast sowing. Depending upon the method of sowing, 8 to 12 kg seed is required for sowing 1 hectare of land. That is, I want to quote idea that if you are going with a broadcasting of a proso millet, it can take 10 to 12 kg of a seeds. But if you are going with a line sowing, it will take only 8 to 9 kgs of seeds, is sufficient for 1 hectare of a land. Now, the manure and fertilizer we need in a proso millet cultivation, it is a short duration crop that is of 70 to 80 days. Thus, it needs a less amount of a nutrient compared to the other cereals. And if organic manure is available, it may be added to the soil before a month of sowing at the rate of 4 to 10 tons per hectare is recommended. Talking about the fertilizers, to get a good crop, general fertilizers recommended under irrigated condition is 40 to 60 kg nitrogen, 30 kg phosphorus, and 20 kg potassium per hectare. That is, the ratio of N, P, and K should be 40 to 60, 30, and 20 in an 1 hectare of land. Nitrogen and a whole amount of phosphorus millet. The nitrogen should be applied at the time of the first irrigation. Under rainfed condition, the fertilizer dose is reduced to half of the irrigated crops. Talking about the water management, as the proso millet is a kharif season crop, it does not require any
Hello,
irrigation.
Mr.
However, at the
Chaturvedi.
tail stage, it dries spills fuel for a longer time to irrigate your this. Hello.
Mr. Chaturvedi, suddenly your voice is going off. You try to be in a place where there is good network connectivity.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay. Am I audible
Now,
at this time?
now, now it is clear. When you are speaking continuously, your voice goes off. Just give a break and like that
Okay,
is
okay.
good. Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So we are on the water management. So as the proso millets are the kharif season crops, generally they does not require any irrigation. But talking about when at the tillering stage or at the CRI stage, when the irrigation is under scheduled for a longer period of a time, then one irrigation must be given to boost yields. And the summer crops, however, would require 2 to 4 irrigations depending upon the soil type and the climatic condition. That is, in a summer crop of the proso millet cultivation, the soil texture and its uh, whether it is a clay soil or a loamy soil, that will depend that how much irrigation it can hold and how much irrigation does it demand. The first irrigation in a proso millet should be given at 25 to 30 days after sowing, and the second irrigation about 40 to 45 days after sowing. That is, after the first irrigation of 20 days, we must give the second irrigation. Due to shallow root system of proso millet, heavy irrigation is not advisable in proso millet. Talking about the weed control, as the weeds are causing for 27% of yield loss in this in crops of cereals, and control is a major need to be acknowledged. So, for getting a high yield and minimizing the loss of soil moisture and nutrient, the field should be kept weed free up to 25 days of at a stage. Two weeding at an interval of 15 to 20 days would help control it. Weeding may be done with hand hoe or a wheel hoe. Talking about a disease, the major disease of proso millet is a head smut, that is Sclerosia strans. It is a common disease of a proso millet. The affected panicles become elongated and thickened when proso millet are affected due to the head smut disease. The smarts masses rupture before the harvest. This is the second-born disease and can be controlled by treating seeds with organomercurial compounds like the sericin at the rate of 3 gram per kg of seeds or a hot water treatment. Hot water treatment generally refers to the soaking seeds in a hot water at 55 degrees centigrade for a 7 to 12 minutes. Sometimes bacterial streak is also noticed in these head smut diseases of proso millet, and that can be controlled by the seed treatment with 5% magnesium arsenate at the rate of 1 gram of a chemical in 1 kg of a seed. Insect pests affecting proso millet. Among insects placed, fruit fly is important for this crop. These insects damages the crop in the seedling stage only. Apply 15 kg of a thimet granules per hectare in the soil at the time of field preparation for controlling of these fruit fly in proso millet crops. Now, the field inspection that are needed for the regarding cultivation of a proso millet, that is a minimum of 2 inspections should be done before flowering, between flowering and maturity stages by the seed certification officer when you are dealing with the cultivation of a seed production in a proso millet. The first inspection is done at the time of a flowering to check the isolation distances and off types varieties, and the second inspection is done during the maturity stage prior to harvest to check the off types and to estimate the yield. Now, rogging. Rogging should be done often to remove the off types, volunteer plants, and deceased plants from the seed production field to avoid the genetic contamination. Rogging should be done up to the flowering stage. Maximum percentage of off types permitted at the final inspection, that is the second inspection, is 0.05% for foundation seeds and 0.10 for the certified seed productions. Harvesting. Proso millet is ready for harvest after 65 to 75 days of sowing in most of the varieties. Harvest the crop when it is about to mature. The seeds in the tip of upper heads ripe and fatter before the lower seeds, and later panicles get mature. When this is the symptom of that the plants are matured and ready for a harvesting in a proso millet. Therefore, the crops should be harvested when about two-thirds of the seeds are ripe and the settling activities are acknowledged. Drying and storage. The clean seeds should be sun dried to attain a safe moisture level of 12%. Seed can be stored up to 13 months under proper storage conditions. Yield. The proso millets cultivation, the crop of proso millets after harvesting give a grain yield of 20 to 23 quintals and 50 to 60 quintals of straw per hectare. Now, our concluding post-harvest handling of the prosomil topic is post-harvest operations that are acknowledged to be handled during the post-harvest handling. The one of the major pre-harvest operations in the field instructions to ensure uniform ripening of the crop. If ripening is not uniform in the field, selective harvesting may be done to pick the ripe heads that may that may start shattering, leaving the unripe heads for the next round of harvesting. Transportation that are needed after the post harvest, during the post harvest handling. Transportation of a millet starts immediately after harvesting within the farm. For farmers who do not prefer drying their crop in the field, they transport the millet in a bags to their homestead where the heads are spread out on the sun to dry. Threshing is the one of the process of separating the edible part of a grain from a straw or a chaff to which it is attached. It is a step in the preparation of a grain after it has been harvested. As you can see in this figure, it is depicted how the threshing or the sweating processes are done in the proso millet crop. Some tips for threshing proso millets include there are various concepts involved in proso millet threshing, that is just swathing. Swathing before threshing is preferred to harvest. Swathing is just beating the action of out its all moisture and seeds from that husk. Okay. Timing. Growers should begin swathing when seed in the upper half of the panicles have matured and have fully ripe. Threshing is can be delayed until the grain is below 13% of moisture. Drying, that is another post-harvest handling method. Millet grain harvested during the rainy season may be left to dry in the field for 2 to 2 weeks. Further drying, if required, is completed before after threshing on the mats laid down on the sun or a plastic seats. However, unheated air drying is a weather dependent, and in case of a prolonged wet conditions with high relative humidity, the drying process may take a long time. In such circumstances, one may
Mr. Chaturvedi? Hello?
the airflow rate process. Cleaning refers to the separation of a contamination from a produce and complete removal of the contaminants so that the clean produce. Hello,
Yes, Mr.
hello,
Chaturvedi.
hello.
Last 2 minutes we lost your audio. Just
Ma'am,
few minutes.
you are not audible to me at this time.
Now you are able to hear me? No, Mr. Chaturvedi, your voice is breaking. Hello. Just come to the place where you have good signal. Just move, no?
Ma'am, you are not audible to me at this time.
No. There is some network issue at your end.
Am I audible to you, ma'am?
Now you are audible. Now you proceed.
Oh, okay. Cleaning is one of the another post-harvest handling procedure in a proso millet that is refers to the separation of contaminants from a produce and complete removal of the contaminant so that the clean produce is free from the recontaminations. The contaminants for millets may be the sand, small stones, leaves, shriveled seeds, off-type seeds, broken seeds, blooms, sticks, chaffs, human and animal excretas, and many more. Cleaning is traditionally done by two techniques, namely one is the winnowing and other is screening. Winnowing is a traditionally cleaning process whereby the difference in densities between the good millets grain and contaminants is exploited to separate the contaminants from millet grains. The separation effect is best obtained when it is slightly windy, so that the wind currents blows the light contaminants from the relatively heavy grains. Screening is another cleaning process that is where the seeds set of the sheaves is used to separate abnormally small grains from the good ones. Screening also removes sands, particles, and broken pieces of millet grains. Now talking about the packaging, after threshing, drying and cleaning, millets are usually bagged in a 100 kg seashell bags and sealed ready for the transportation to the distance markets. Sometimes millet grains can be packed in a bags strained from artificial polythene bags for other transportation or storage. Now talking about the storage, more millets have excellent storage properties and can be kept for up to 4 to 5 years in a simple storage facilities such as the traditional granaries. This is because the seeds are protected from insect attack by the hard full hull covering the endosperm, and because grain is usually harvested and stored in a dry weather conditions. Millets may be stored after drying and threshing as a loose grain in a bags or a loose containers. They are commonly left on the field prior to threshing in stacks or piles of a harvested plants. The detached heads may also be stored away from the field in an exposed stack or in traditionally storage containers. Uh, these are the products that are handled or they are made from the post-harvest handling, that is a flour. A proso millet's flour can be grouped into a flour and used to make bread, pastas, noodles, fermented foods, and many more. And it can also be added to stews and meats. Flatbreads. Proso millets flours can be used to make flatbreads, and tabulos can also be made through proso millets. Beers can also be brewing beers, alcohols that are having a 3% alcohol in ethyl alcohol in them, that can also be prepared, and the chapatis, dosas, idlis, and many more things can be prepared from this proso millet products. Very thanks to all. Ma'am, can you
Uh,
have a
Thank you very much, Mr. Chaturvedi, for your presentation. I will take up the questions from the participants now. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen and audio video?
yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
If your voice is breaking, I will off it from here. Okay?
Okay ma'am, okay ma'am, okay ma'am,
Okay. I'll move on to the questions now.
okay ma'am.
How much water does proso millets require during its growth period?
Ma'am, it's actually requires 400 to 500 water recommendation in an hectare, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the recommended planting depth for proso millet seeds?
Ma'am, planting depth is actually 3 to 4 centimeter. It can goes to up to a 5 centimeter because these proso millets are a shallow depth rooted crops, ma'am.
Okay. Can you explain the ideal temperature range for proso millet cultivation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, the ideal temperature as these proso millets are grown in a kharif season. So they are the warm loving season, warm loving crops, ma'am, and they can grow up to 40 to 45 degrees centigrade. That is the maximum. And for its pollination, it recommends only 30 to 28 to 30 degrees centigrade. And for ma'am, in rare cases, that is in Rajasthan or very where there is a scarcity of water, it can hold up to 55 degrees centigrade temperature also, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the common pests affecting proso millets and how can they be managed?
Ma'am, actually, the pests affecting these are the soot flies. That is the major pest affecting these proso millets. And for this, as I have already told, that the debris in the field should not be left unused, ma'am. That is, the residues should be managed properly. Then mercurial compounds, that is agrosane, kerosene should be applied. And the recommended dose of these chemicals are literally 2 gram or 2.5 gram to 3 gram per kg per hectare, ma'am, and they should be They are actually emulsions or soluble salts, ma'am. They can be applied just mixing in a water, ma'am.
Okay.
The timely sowing of this proso millet should also be managed properly, because ma'am the shoot flights actually affected due to the due to the time which is affected by the proso millet cultivation, ma'am.
Okay. How long does it typically take for proso millet to reach maturity after planting?
Yes, ma'am.
One second. How long does it typically take for the proso millet to reach maturity after planting?
Ma'am, actually, it is actually a 3 month crop, but it actually mature in 70 to 80 days, or you can say 85 days. That is the last maturity range, ma'am. It is a very short duration crop, ma'am, and this is a good thing regarding proso millet.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the optimal soil conditions for proso millet cultivation?
Ma'am, actually, the proso millets can be grown in any type of any texture soil, ma'am. But actually, the loamy soil or the hardy clay soils are the most suitable soils for this proso millets cultivation.
Okay. What harvesting techniques are best suited for proso millet?
Harvesting techniques are, ma'am, like threshing should be done properly. Their transportation should be highly managed, ma'am. There is swathing processes should be highly done. Winnowing processes should be highly managed in their post harvest handling, ma'am. Storage, as actually the storage of the post harvest should be done in a managerial way, because the soot fly, or ma'am, there are various just like a grain moth or a storage pest, various storage pest affect the seeds of the proso millet when they are stored in an for a longer time, ma'am. So the storage pest should be managed. That is, their storage should be managed.
Okay. What are the key post harvest handling practices to ensure quality proso millet grains?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Your voice is breaking actually, ma'am, at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
yeah. What are the key post harvest handling practices to ensure quality proso millet grains?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I have already told that the threshing, winnowing, storage, this should be done in a proper managerial way, ma'am.
Okay.
Their harvesting should be done at the proper maturity and their ripening, ma'am, because that
Mhm.
affect the seed quality basically. Farmers usually for taking yield earlier, they harvest it on a 65 days or say 75 days, but the actual maturity comes on 80 or 85 days. That is the peak time when proso millet should be harvested, ma'am. So that the pre-harvest maturity, that is the harvesting maturity of the at the time of a harvesting should be highly recommended.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Are there specific diseases that proso millet is susceptible, and how can they be prevented?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, head smudge is one of the major disease in proso millet cultivation that affects it during whether the crop is a summer season crop or it's a kharif season crop. Actually, proso millet are cultivated during both this season, that is a kharif season and in a summer seasons, ma'am. Summer season ploughing is also done for proso millets. So ma'am, actually the head smuts affect at this both time. Smuts actually occurs on their whole floral plot, whole aerial plot parts are affected due to these head smuts, and the yield and the production, that is basically their physiological conditions are affected, that affects their yield and production, and farmer suffers from their economical crisis. Ma'am, I think for this, the timely sowing of pearly millet should be done. Then organic or agromolecular pesticides should be recommended for farmers, and application of nitrogen plays a very specific role. That is, the high doses of nitrogen should not be applicable for this uh, torso millet for control of head smut, ma'am.
Okay. Could you share insights on the storage conditions required for proso millet grains to maintain freshness?
Yes, ma'am.
Once again. Could you share insights on the storage conditions required for proso millet grains to
Yes, ma'am.
maintain freshness?
I got your question, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the drying and the storage, ma'am. The drying of the that is the drying of the harvesting of the crops, that are the harvested seeds should be dried at a 13% moisture level, and then they are should be applicable for storage only. They should be stored in a clean place, ma'am. That is, there should be no debris, and that place should be clean, and have a proper ventilation should be there, ma'am, where the seeds are stored, ma'am. uh, no fungal growth. So, we should check that there should not be any pre-fungal growth in that room or the container where these proso millet seeds are stored, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Mr. Kushagra Chaturvedi for the talk and for answering the questions. I'd like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting will now be closed.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks to very much.
You're most welcome.
Okay, ma'am.